Hey there, it's Susie here. Welcome to this week's Member Spotlight. Every Monday, I get the opportunity to interview one of our incredible HerBusiness Network members, and you get the benefit of learning from another businesswoman the ins and outs of her business, what she might be being challenged with right now. And I might be doing a little bit of coaching to support her in that area. But also these women also bring their area of expertise and give you some of their strategies they're using to grow and scale their business. Now, we're going to get into our interview in just a moment. But today is a special day at Her Business because we're doing something that only happens a couple of times a year, and that is we're opening the doors to our Her Business Marketing Success Mastermind program. Now, this is a year-long marketing program for established business owners who really want to escape that overwhelm and get the support that they need to have a focused plan as it relates to their marketing and to do marketing that actually works, that's repeatable, that brings in a reliable revenue and really helps move you out of the day-to-day ad hoc of marketing and create an automated, functioning system that allows people to come into your world, buy your main thing, but then continue to be clients and refer people and become loyal long-term customers. So that's the Marketing Success Mastermind program. We're only opening the doors for 1 week only. We're only taking a handful of people. But if this sounds like something that is right for you and you're a women business owner, you're doing at least $150,000 in revenue at the moment, and you have an established business, then you want to head on over to herbusinessmastermind.com and apply. It's an application-only process. There is no cost to apply. But what it means is that you'll set up an interview to speak with me and my co-presenter, marketing expert Michelle Falzon, to determine if the program is right for you. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then head on over to herbusinessmastermind.com. Alrighty, now, as we get to today's interview, here's what I want to let you know. Now, Julia is a member of the Her Business Network, and she has a really interesting business. She has a long time established business. She's been in business for 12 years. So she's one of our more established business owners. And she has a number of different aspects to her business. So she helps fashion labels, both established ones and startups, with their pattern making, sample making, grading, product development. And she does this mainly through her core business, which is called Sample Room. I'm going to bring her on now so that we can talk business. Julia, hi, welcome.
Hi, Susie. Lovely to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. Now, I sort of explained what it is that you do, but for those of us who aren't in your industry, give us a sense of who you help, what your business does in a little more detail.
Sure. So in the fashion industry, you have a designer and then they go to a developer or a pattern maker to have a pattern made and a sample made and graded before you move to manufacturing. People often don't know about the mysterious bit in the middle, but we help all labels. And it's not just fashion. We work with anything to do with fabric. So it could be a dog harness or a horse blanket or a tote bag, whatever it might be. It's anything in that three-dimensional thinking with fabric. And so we help them with the product development, and we also do manufacturing for people. And if somebody is a startup, we also help support them through our program, the Fashion Label Launchpad, which is a full support 1-year program to help people understand the mystery behind the technical side and how to brief everyone along the way so that you come through that process smoothly to launch with a successful, beautiful product.
Wonderful. And so if you're watching this video live, just know that somewhere surrounding this video, we're going to be putting the links that we're mentioning here today. We talked about the sample room at the beginning when I introduced Julia, and she's gone on to mention a couple of her other programs, which again, we'll be circling back around to. But before we do that, you've been in business for 12 years. How would you describe your area of expertise?
So my area of expertise is really an understanding of the local manufacturing and developing industry. But also an understanding of how to explain that to somebody who has no prior knowledge or experience in the industry. For anybody who was attempted to start something like this, you'll realize there is a whole different language involved in the fashion industry. Right. And so we've really broken that down into a way that's clear and concise and a real step-by-step plan to know what to do and when. And quite often when people come to us who have started something before, they've often completed step 7 before step 3 before step 5.
So they've got them all out of order.
Yes, exactly.
So I know that you work with different types of clients. We mentioned that you work with more established labels and then with the startups. And we're very big inside of Her Business of really understanding your ideal client and developing your products and services so that they're a hand in glove kind of fit with the needs of your ideal clients. So tell us a little bit about your ideal client, because what I understand is that you've actually done the work to really understand who they are and what they need.
Yes, yeah, definitely. We really divide our clients into through quite distinct groups. There is the established client that may be manufacturing overseas, and they may be developing overseas, but they're looking for a new way to get their product developed locally. So it's quicker, it's a better fit, it's a more creative product. And so we can create that development ready for an overseas manufacturing package of information. So then it goes to their manufacturer. Quite often when we do that, that person then, they may do one design 1 year, and then we do everything for 3 or 4 years before they bring their own in-house team, because they realize it's so much easier. Our second ideal client is an established fashion label, but they may not have their own internal team. So they may be a team of 2, 3 people, the designer, a marketing person, a logistics person, but we're really their team that they can't afford to have in-house.
Love it.
So they may be manufacturing locally or overseas, and they're looking for a team to work with who can help them develop through. And we have really close relationships with these designers, and they're fantastic. And we see them really grow over 6, 7 years, which is always nice. They become part of our manufacturing family, I guess. And then our third ideal client is a startup client. So somebody who has had no prior experience or education or knowledge in the industry. And they may come from corporate world. It's just a sideline thing for them. They may be a mum who's decided they want to try something on their own before they go back to work. And so we work with these people in a very different way, which is under that structure of the program. So we can really hold their hand and not only teach them, but also catch anything before it goes wrong as we're guiding them through that process.
I love that, because when we do have such distinctly different clients, the established brand, the person who might be the mum who's want to try her hand at her own label, etc., we want to make sure that, one, we're speaking to each one of them in the language that they understand, and there is definitely a language in your industry, but the language that I understand as an advanced manufacturer is very different to that of a startup, and that you've developed these different programs so that you can direct people to the exact right match for them depending on what they need. I really enjoy that. So we're going to roll back around. I want to ask you a few questions about that. But before we do that, I mentioned that you've been in business for 12 years. I know that you've got a team of staff. You are currently, you are in Victoria, so you're currently in lockdown as we're talking, but you've been remote and you've had a business where technology has allowed you to work with dispersed teams for a long time. As a business owner, just in sort of, let's get real here, what sort of challenges do you, even now at 12 years, find yourself facing on a daily basis?
Oh, there's always challenges, just different sort of challenges and different ways of tackling them. And I think you forget the challenges that you had early on because you learn how to tackle them. The challenges for us are really all the ideas that you have and how do you manage what is the priority and what needs to be done in the future. So, I'm very much an ideas person. I can come up with a million ideas, and it's how to really dive deeper into knowing what is the focus of the year or the month, and how to really dive into that and fit in what needs to be done into your busy day. Because while it's great to have a wonderful big idea, how do you break that down into small 15-minute chunks so that you can, as I say, how do you eat an elephant? One mouthful at a time. And you gradually tap away at that project, but you know what the end goal is. So that's a really big challenge.
So excited. Well, okay, I know it's a challenge, but for me it's very exciting because this is one of my favorite things to talk about. Because one of the things that is so important when we are an ideas person or we're under-resourced, and so we're just trying to do all the things, is having that really clear vision. And it's one of the things that I love to talk about and I love to help women with. And that is getting so clear on a vision that pulls you forward with such momentum that it becomes really easy to say no to the bright, shiny objects, to know that I am really clearly focused on this, and here are my strategic objectives for this year. Here are the projects I'm saying yes to, and here are the ones that are nice to have but probably not important, so that on any given day we might veer off a little bit, but our actions are on course with our projects that are going to have us meet our strategic objectives, which are ultimately going to give us our vision. But it starts with having that vision really, really clear. And that vision can be a revenue-related vision. It can be a number of staff. It can be how many days a week you're working. It can be what life looks like. It can be your portfolio of investments. Whatever that vision is, it's going back from that. And as you said, breaking it down. But it starts with having that clear vision. And from there saying, well, okay, if I look at a 12-month period, what strategic objectives do I have for my business? Is it around growth? Is it around consolidation? Is it around marketing? Is it around team? Is it around systems and processes? And then saying, well, what projects are achievable in a 90-day period, for instance, and really breaking it down. And it's one of the things that we do inside of our Marketing Success Mastermind program, which I mentioned at the outset here, but it's one of the things I'm very passionate about, is helping women get focus and clarity on, because we can't do all the things. So how do we get focus and clarity on the things that are going to move the needle most in our business? Because we can be busy all day long, every single day, working late into the night, apologizing to family why we can't be there for dinner, or we can't be there with them at the picnic on the weekend, and we work ourselves into the ground and, risk being overwhelmed and burnt out. And yet, if we just gave ourselves that little bit of time to get real clarity, we can make decisions more confidently. So for me, it's an area of passion and support. And right now we're actually developing a program where I'm helping women to get that clarity of vision, create a plan that moves them forward, and be able to confidently take those actions without feeling like we're veering off course all the time. But you're totally not alone. And the reason I get excited is because I hear this sort of thing all the time. And that is why I'm very committed to, because I know from myself, some of the least clear times in my business, Julia, was when we were growing most. Because everything became important, everything's heightened, there's so many people, there's so many moving parts, and I lost track of my vision, and I went off course, and I got very, very burnt out and very unwell, actually, and I had to sort of bring myself back and find a vision that was my vision for now, which was very different to my vision when I started, right? And 12 years in business, maybe the vision now is different to what it was when you started.
Absolutely. And I think when you're so deep in a business, you often, you don't know what you don't know, just like everyone else doesn't know what you do. So you can sometimes get really buried in the idea of, well, I think that's right, but what do people from outside think as well? And so that's what I find really tricky as well. And that's really about marketing. You can be marketing in one way, but that is what you think people need, but not necessarily what other people hear or need to hear.
Right. Yeah. And that's where having, at different times in our business, we're going to have different peers, different mentors, different experts that we reach out to, different consultants that we might use to help guide us, because we can get very myopic. And sometimes it takes, in my experience, getting out and getting a different set of eyes looking at what you're doing. And because things evolve, especially with marketing. I've been a marketer since my 20s, and it changes, and platforms change, and where your ideal client is hanging out changes, and the way that people like to be communicated to and where changes. So it's kind of a never-ending thing to stay on top of our marketing and our communication. But I find always I just have to keep learning and keep putting myself in the learner's seat, but also reaching out to people who can support me and people who are out there doing the things I want to be doing, who might be a few steps ahead and can guide me down that path. So tell me, I know you came here with some advice that you find yourself giving your clients time and time again that I feel to be really useful for the women who are here watching to also hear. Would you share those with us?
Absolutely. Look, some are to do with the fashion industry and some are to do with just being general in business. As far as the fashion industry, I could say the fashion or textile clothing and footwear industry, it used to be called, because it is about all of those things.
That's great.
It's far more complex than what people think it is. People often think, well, I'll come up with the idea and can't you just do it? But it is an industry that's very hands-on. It's very in the weeds. And so learning about what's involved is a really important aspect. It's not something that you can just hand over to somebody else and they create the vision, because then it's no longer your vision. So in order to bring that, to know your ideal client and to be able to communicate that to people who are the conduit for your design is a really important thing to learn. So education is really key to finding out about that, so that you are happy with the end result and not just wasting money on having things created. Knowing your client is so important, and what problem you're looking to solve. Personally, I'm really passionate about reducing landfill by reducing useless and bad garments in the world, because there are way too many garments that are thrown into landfill. And knowing who your client is and what you're looking to solve is a key component of that, so that whatever we design has that key focus and that real laser focus, so that when you go to launch, people understand the product you've made and why you've made it. That's a really critical part. and understanding the timelines and the checklists and everything that's involved to reaching your launch date. So whether that is with clothing, whether that's making ceramics or a product that is a holiday for the summer or whatever it is, knowing what the timeline and what's involved is critical, because you just can't pressure everyone, all the other service suppliers to you to reach a timeline because you didn't know when you should have started that timeline. So
that's really, really important, because like you said, whether it's you're doing a marketing promotion, you're doing a Mother's Day promotion, you're taking the family on vacation, or you're launching, you're printing a book, or you're whatever that is, what I find is that most people, because they don't do the work that you've just mentioned of that critical timeline, they don't give themselves enough run up. And so then they don't see the results as a result of that. And in my experience, things take longer than you think they're going to take, especially the first time you do them. And so, and in your business, obviously those timelines are critical because there are so many moving parts. But I think that lesson is relevant to anyone who's watching around really having the process and the checklist and the timeline of what it is that you're trying to do, because it's probably not the only thing you're working on. Very few of us have the luxury of having a one focus thing, or having a week to put together a PowerPoint presentation. It doesn't happen. So so that's really, really important.
And I also think you need the list so you can follow the list. And any time in business where I felt like I'm floundering, I just write the list. I sit down, I really focus all the things I need to do, and then it's just a matter of tackling one thing at a time, and it becomes achievable rather than, oh, I've got that huge thing that I have to do. I don't even know where to start.
Yes, I love that. What did you say? Create the list so you can follow the list? No, you said something slightly different.
Yeah. Write the list and follow the list. It's really
write
simple.
The list and follow the list.
Nobody
I love it. Very good. Now, you joined HerBusiness in 2020, and you were looking for more support and a different way of working on your business. What was the specific problem you were looking to solve in your business by joining our network?
I think I was just a little bit too inside my own head. And I was sort of going around in circles, and so I'll do this and do that, and should I do that, and just lacked a little bit of confidence and direction in what I wanted to do. 2020, of course, became very difficult because we could not catch up with our normal social circle or business circle. And anyone who's in business, you know that only your business friends understand and can listen to the waffle. So I'd lost my normal support, and so I joined HerBusiness to open my eyes up a little bit as well to the wonderful people that are around that have got fantastic advice. And I spent a lot of time in the library, saving all these things and opening up millions of different tabs to watch videos. And it's been wonderful, And even if it's just prompting, a lot of the time in business, I've always thought when you start to tackle a subject that you know nothing about, the best thing is just to immerse yourself in that conversation and just, because you become comfortable with the words, with the whatever it is. It might be, I don't know what that word is. I remember hearing SEO for the first time and thinking, what's SEO? And now it's everyday language. But back then, when I first started exploring that, I needed to go to meetup groups and variety things like that. So
you make a really good point, because as business owners, we'll often come in and we'll have an area of expertise. We're good marketers, or we're good with people, or we're good with planning or scheduling. But being a whole business owner, we do need to understand the language of money and then technology and people and so many different things. And so the library that Julie is talking about is our HerBusiness Hub, where we have training. So whether you're looking to hire the next staff member, or do search engine optimization, SEO for your business, or create a lead magnet to bring more people into your world, or it's about mindset and confidence, you can dive into the library and learn that language that's relevant for that part of your business. Because no business stands on one pillar, which is I know how to market. It requires planning and technology, and we call them our growth zones. So these are areas of business that any successful business has going for it. And so our library is broken up into these areas of business. So you might be going through a phase in your business or a season where you are really dealing with team and having to figure out hiring and firing and motivating and onboarding and all those things. So you would focus there. And so we do that through our library. And we also know that you're a fan of these. We also do have a monthly focus as a community on a particular area of business, and we create guides, which I understand you found really useful.
Yeah, I find them really useful. And sometimes, I have always had a to-do list that's about 100 pages long. And I put it into various programs and, sort it and manage it somehow. But you do need to focus on one thing at a time. And the monthly guides are fantastic because it's that absorption into a topic that I really love. And so straight away I copy all the links of the podcast over to an app so that if I go for a walk, when you go for a walk and you walk out the door and you go, oh, what podcast should I listen to? I can click on that link and straight away I have the instant link. So I'm hearing different perspectives. I don't really follow the what to do each day. I'm more of a, I have an overall focus, and a podcast I listened to of yours, which was the percolate. You percolate on an idea, and then people don't, and I love that, and so I use it a lot like that. I percolate on the idea, and I hear the different perspectives, and because I'm allowing myself to really sort of go down into that real detail of one topic, it doesn't seem so overwhelming. And then I tick that off, and I've got an end of the month goal as well, and then I go on to the next topic. So
I love it. And right now, as Julie and I are speaking, the topic is technology. So we're talking about, how are you using technology in your business to really do more with less and leverage your efforts? So it can be marketing-related technology, like the platforms you use to attract, convert, and keep your ideal clients. It could be the technology you use to work with a dispersed team, whether that's a virtual assistant or your suppliers or your bookkeeper. We're talking about the technology that you can use to manage your finances. And so depending on what you're up to in your business, we're just taking that little slice of technology and looking at where can we improve. And so there are things to download, things to listen to, as Julia mentioned, things to watch from our library, etc. And so we make that available for our members. Now, you mentioned earlier being inside your head, and for me, I noticed that too. If I am too much inside my head, what happens is I don't grow, and I can get a little bogged down. So having a sounding board has always been very important to me. And the sounding boards that we make available to members is having a goals group, an accountability group. Now, I know that you just met with your group this morning, right?
Yes, I did. Yes. So every fortnight, 7:30 in the morning. Don't know why we chose that time, but it works in the end. We meet up and we just talk about what our goals are for the week. And it's great being able to share those goals and hear other people's goals and help each other grow. But it also does not only keep you accountable, but also you go, wow, I did all those things that I said I was going to do the last 2 weeks. So sometimes we get to the 2 week and I think, what did I do this week? And I sit down and I think, oh, I did that and I did that and I did that. And there's all these things, and it makes me feel a lot better that I'm not just doing the work in the business, I'm actually working on the business and achieving those goals. So it's many layers.
And you're right. Sometimes we don't notice because there's no, we're focused on the horizon that we don't realize how far from the shore we've come because we don't look back. And so you've got that every 2 weeks, you've got that opportunity to look back and see what you've achieved, which I think is very, very powerful because we can give ourselves a bit of a hard time that sometimes we're not making the progress we think we want to, but often we're making far more progress. But also having the accountability, because you're not going to show up to that next meeting not having done anything.
That's true. Yes. You don't want to say, well, there's nothing I want to do, I'm pretty cruisy. It's like, that's not what you're in this group for.
So tell us a little bit about how people can avail themselves of your products and services. Like, where would be a good place for people to start?
Look, Sample Room is absolutely the best place to start. Sample Room will show you everything we do. We're actually in the middle of redoing our website as well, as always, redoing the website. Yeah. Within that, if you're a startup designer, you'll also find our startup page, which will help explain what we do for startups and also invite you to a discovery masterclass that we do every Wednesday night, which is a great live event that you can meet myself and find about what's involved and what do you need to do to prepare before you see a manufacturer, which will help start the education process on what your role is in the development process. We also have a website called Pattern Room, which is a world first, which is an online pattern catalogue. Currently sits at around 200,000 designs. Wow. And that is it's huge. Yes, a lot of work. A lot of my life has gone into this.
So you can buy patterns?
Yeah, you can buy. So it's primarily the sportswear, T-shirts, jumpers, tracksuit pants, leggings. We're going into swimwear and netball dresses, and that will extend ongoing as long as we just keep on evolving that product line. And that is so that you can download a patent to take to a manufacturer. If you know what you're doing, then that is a perfect place to start.
Julie, you don't know this about me, but my first real job outside of school was for Simplicity and Style Patterns.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
They were the days where people, I don't know if people still buy patterns that way, but it was, that was one of my first jobs. But I love it, 200,000 patterns. Wow.
Yes. patterns.
That's an
And
incredible
so
catalogue.
there is a huge market in simplicity and style patterns and also the PDF pattern market, but this catalogue is primarily for the industry. So these are industry-specific patterns and also targeted to the custom sportswear industry. So they're available in an AI format and DXF, so they can be sent to manufacturers, which is very different than PDF patterns, which can't be used for manufacturing. So yes, we were in Texas last March at that fateful day when the world shut down.
Oh, yes.
So we had to rush home. We were on the first day of a 3-week trade show tour around the US and Europe.
Oh my goodness.
When we had to try and fight 3 days online to get a flight home.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad you made it back safe.
And we made some amazing contacts while we were there. So we were very fortunate, and we're still in very strong contact with those people today. So it did open up the world in a slight way as well as close it down.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being my guest here today. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with?
Look, if you're interested at all in starting a fashion label, or you've got an idea and you just don't know who to start off with, then definitely come to Sample Room. We'd love to have a chat with you and help you on your way and help guide you through the process. And if you're an established business looking to move back from overseas manufacturing or looking for an easier way to develop your product, we would love to help you out with that too.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, Julia.
Wonderful. Thanks, Susie. Lovely to chat.
Thank you. How amazing. I love our conversations with our members because they're all doing such interesting things and they all bring such generous tips and expertise to these interviews here. Now, I loved speaking about a couple of things most specifically. One is how well Julia understands her ideal client. So she's very clear on the different services she has. Like she talked about Sample Room, she talked about Pattern Room, and then she's got her course. And so she knows who she's speaking to. And so if there's anything that I can suggest, it's like really understanding your ideal client and getting the focus and clarity around who you're serving, and then creating products and services that are right for them. Because the moment we start to think that everyone is our customer, we really put ourselves in a bit of a hole, because not everybody is our customer and they never will be. So we really just want to find those people who are ideal for us. And inside the Her Business Network, we're talking about this all the time and supporting women in getting clearer on their ideal customer. And then on this idea of focus and clarity, as I said, for me, one of my passions is helping women get really clear on what the vision is for their business, not in a flighty kind of vision way, but in a here's what I'm trying to achieve, and then setting the plan of how they're going to get there and making steps with accountability to keep moving towards those visions. So if you are interested in learning more about the Her Business Network, just head on over to HerBusinessNetwork.com. As I mentioned, right now the doors are open for our premium program, which is the Marketing Success Mastermind program. You can find more details at HerBusinessMastermind.com. And this is a year-long program where you work with me and my co-presenter, Michelle Falzon, who's a marketing expert, to really make the progress that you're looking for using marketing. And we have women doubling, tripling, quadrupling their income, introducing new revenue streams, recurring revenue, and taking their businesses to entirely new levels of proficiency, results, income, because they're really harnessing the power of marketing in their business. So you can learn more about that. As I said, the doors are only open this week, and it is an application process. So you just want to head over to herbusinessmastermind.com if you want to learn more. Thank you so much for joining me here. I'll see you back real soon. Bye for now.